Now I'm working on the Gorgon and I've had a bit of trouble because I've buggered up the aerial on the ESC receiver, so that's going. So I'm going to put a normal receiver in it, but trying to fit, I'm going to use this hobby wing. It's an easy run 3652, and we're going to put that in, but it's trying to get it to fit. There's a major issue with trying to get it on, and a lot of people have cut away here to make it fit. Well, I'm going to try something, and if it works, you'll see in the next part of the video. Now, trying to fit the brushless in, the way I've done it is I've stripped it down to split the chassis, and I was going to fit this motor and grind away the inside and have the wires running up on this hobby wing. That didn't work. So I've had a look through to see what I've got, and I found a Goul RC, because this is where the problem's. The pinion won't fit the hobby wing. The shaft is too short by a long shot, and I can't get it to go on. So I thought I'd rotate it the other direction, and even with filing down the shaft to get a little bit more, because this ring is bigger than the teeth, it catches on the teeth. So I could have fitted it, but the only pinion I had was a 14 tooth mod 1, and so that don't fit the shaft because it's a 5mm and not a 3.2. So instead I'm going to fit this one now. I'm going to put the chassis back together, and I'm going to grind from the outside, so this sort of just clears and bolts up, but trying to take out as minimum amount of material. And I'll put this 3003 Goul in it. It's the one I've got handy, but no, it's not an easy chassis to fit a brushless because it likes a longer motor, hence they put a 550 in it. Well, I started grinding, then I realised just put the motor on the Goul at an angle, and it just about clears if you set it to like that, and then just bend the wires inwards. I think it should work. It shouldn't affect the suspension, hopefully, but because the top one fits in between, so I think we're okay there. So I think this is going to be fine. So I'm going to get it back together and then see if we can get this running. One thing I'll point out, changing the pinion and motor to have it the other way round, where you don't have the same issues of it catching, because that runs smooth. You can actually take this off without having to take the pinion off of the motor out. So changing the pinion to a better one is a good idea. Now, if you're going to run the Gorgon in water, one thing I would recommend checking are the front suspension pins. Absolutely rusty. So I'm going to give them a clean up, and I'll smear a bit of marine grease on them before I put them back in. But it's one area to watch. Well, I've got a bit of jimmy rig of the old electrics, so let's see if it all works still. Well, the steering's very good. Let's see if it goes forwards. Well, it works, but it doesn't seem super fast. It might be because it's quite a lowish kV on the setup, but we can play with that more. But let's get all the electrics tidied up properly. So after mucking about for a while, I've made a holder for the ESC and somewhere to stick the receiver. I'm going to have to put the receiver in first, but my idea is putting the surround so it stops any sideways movement. It's a loose fit, the tray, but the reason I've got to put it on first is because of the fit on here, and this just goes in with 4 screws. Uses 2 of the original mounting holes and 2 of the other ones. So I'm not going to bore you screwing these in, but I'll get them in and I'll get the rest of the electrics on. There we go, the ESC holders in. It's a really nice fit. It literally fits to the top of the chassis because I countersunk the holes underneath. Bigger than the stubs that are there, so it went down, would be an easy fit. I've gonna have to put another cable tie on there because that's too loose. Not happy with that. Because you need something to try and hold these cables together because they are stretched to the absolute limit. So if I put something around, that'll hold them as one. I admit the first cable tie was too loose, and because if it's cut you can't do nothing with it. That's neater, nice strong tie around that. The wires run through, but to remove it you just take this off, pull the wires, undo the screws and it will all come off. Just unplug the bits. And what I've done for the aerial to fit the Gull and the Fly Sky, there was a hole here, a mounting hole, so I drilled it to 3mm but not all the way through. Then cleaned out the plastic and then put a little hole beside it, took the aerial down, took the aerial up, and a bit of Tamiya tube pushes in perfect, so I've got a nice little aerial back. And we'll just see how well it goes. The only trouble I have got is I can't find the manual for setting the ESC on this, so I'm going to have to go online and find that and program it properly. But I think that's quite a nifty little conversion now. But if I hadn't screwed up the ESC myself, I'll put my hands up. I did bugger the aerial on it, but it happens. But final thing, we'll go over it again, but that's what's been fitted. It's a Gull RC 3660 sensorless motor, 3300 kV and a 60 amp. So it's not going to be super fast, but being a lower kV I can gear it up a bit more, and I've got a gear to do that if I want to. I've got it on a 14 and I have a 17 in hand, but we'll see how hot this gets running in here, and we might try it. But like I said, until I've run it up properly on a LiPo battery I won't know how fast this is, but we'll do a speed because we know stock it's I think about 22, aren't these, or a bit more. I'll have to look it up.